Dr. J, how do I get out of debt?
Whew, a lot of work. It's actually much easier to get into debt than get out. That's just the unfortunate truth of it. And in America, debt is just part of life. Now, interesting side note, when I was doing research for my book on Portraits of Child-Free Wealth, I found that child-free people actually have less debt than most, which is a good thing. The first thing is to get out of debt is you have to decide you want to. And I say that, but a lot of people like I wish I could get out of debt, but they don't really want to. There's a difference. And part of what's going on with debt is literally stealing from your future. You are buying today and saying, okay, great, I'm going to pay for it tomorrow. That's buy now, pay later. That's what these programs are. But you don't know how much money you're going to make in the future. And you're going to be paying interest on that. Right now, we're in the middle of a recessionary type and inflation environment where interest rates are going up. Credit card interest around 16, 20% for minimum. People can be as high as 30%. You're talking about at 20% that credit card is going to double every about 3.5 years. And that minimum payment is not going to get you out of it. And people get student loans. They go, well, I'm hoping they get paid off by the government. Yeah, that's nice. They've been talking about that for decades. I'd love them to do it, but I don't see it happening. Maybe they'll do something here or there. You have to have a plan. You have to make getting out of debt a priority. All right, how do we do this? We've talked about using a budget and money management system. If you haven't gotten there, go back to those videos. You got to get on a budget. You got to tell your money what it's going to do. The first step you're going to do is lock all your credit cards. You can go into the app. It says lock. It means you can't use it. It's hiding it from you and others. It's a good way to get rid of those subscriptions that are coming in constantly and just, boom, they're going to bounce. You have to stop taking out debt. If you are getting payday loans or anything like that, you're stuck in the debt cycle. You're going to have to make a couple hard weeks to get off that cycle. Because what happens, especially if you're using like payday loans, those can be 50 or 100% of interest. It's not technically interest, they call it fees, but it's the same thing. You have to stop taking out debt. Then what you have to do is make it a priority. If you go, well, I'm going to pay off my debt with what's left over at the end of the month, you're never going to make progress. It's just kind of how it works. You've got to set a goal. Now, if you want to look at who does getting out of debt well, look at the Dave Ramsey School. Dave Ramsey and his group have been getting out of debt forever, and they are experts at it. Now, in the Dave Ramsey world, he would say you don't see the inside of a restaurant unless you're working there. You're eating rice and beans, beans and rice, and you are just going complete. He's saying sell everything in the house to the point where the dog thinks they're next. Okay, I mean that's the extreme. I'm close, but I'll let you have one pizza. You need to make it a priority. That's going to mean taking extra work. That's going to mean getting on a budget. And what you're doing is you're shifting the way you're thinking about it. Unfortunately, right now, what happens, you go to college, you're 18, they give you a t-shirt and a free credit card and a student loan. And then people are like, I forever have to live a life of debt. I'll tell you, for me and my wife, there was a key moment in our financial world, not really planned, when we paid off her car. I had always had a new car every 2 years. Just had the payments and I was okay with it. But we paid off her car and I was like, you can actually pay off a car. Like there was a moment I was like, I didn't know that was an option. I thought you just always had payments. I did find the Dave Ramsey stuff. That's actually where I learned some of this for myself. And I started getting a budget and getting out of debt. Now, your first goal is to get rid of all your consumer debt. Your mortgage, we're going to debate if you buy a house based on your interest rates and things, it's going to be good to get it paid off. I'd like you to get your house paid off before you retire because now your expenses are very low. But you have to set priorities. And when you get to paying off debt, there's two real big methods. They call them the Snowball and the Avalanche method. The Dave Ramsey school is the Snowball method. You pay off the smallest first, and then you go to the next one and the next one and the next one. That's the method I prefer because it gets you quick wins. If you got a $10,000 bill with the highest interest and you're paying that off, you feel like you're not making any progress because you're paying, but it feels like you're not doing anything. The Avalanche method is the opposite, where we go with the highest interest. Well, my highest interest might be that $10,000 bill, and I'm feeling like I'm not making progress. It's okay to pick one or the other, The Avalanche is actually better math wise. The Snowball is better behavioral wise. I recommend the Snowball. Now, the thing is, when you're getting out of debt, you're really talking about changing your behaviors around buying and spending money. People say, well, should I go bankrupt? Well, if you go bankrupt, you haven't changed your behaviors. Should I get my loans? Well, if I'm moving things around, it's like rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. You're still going down, didn't make any progress. They say, well, what about this service and all that? And we have a video on how to negotiate that. There's a way to do that. But the thing is, your goal is to pay it off. You have to make it a priority. What do you think, Katie?
I think that all good, and I actually used the snowball method when I was getting my debt paid off. That is one I'm familiar with.
Getting out of debt is a hard process, but once you're done, the world feels different. All your money is your money. And before you jump to the section on how do I invest, it starts with how do I get out of debt? Because if I pay off a credit card, it's a guaranteed 16, 20% return, whatever your interest is. Not going to beat that. Debt is first.